You don't need more discipline. You need less pressure. Most people think they're inconsistent because they lack discipline, so they try to fix it by pushing harder, stricter routines, more expectations, more pressure to stay on track. But something strange happens. The more pressure you add, the harder it becomes to stay consistent. You start strong, focused, motivated, locked in. Then slowly it fades. Not because you're lazy, but because your system is under tension. Pressure doesn't just push you forward. It also makes everything feel heavier. Simple tasks start to feel bigger than they are. Small decisions feel overwhelming. And the things you plan to do start to feel like things you have to do. That shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Because once something feels forced, your mind starts looking for relief. Not progress, relief. So you delay, you avoid. You tell yourself you'll do it later when you feel more ready. But that moment rarely comes. Because the pressure is still there. And now you're not just dealing with the original task. You're also dealing with the weight of not doing it. This is where most people get stuck. They think, I just need more discipline. But adding discipline on top of pressure usually turns into force. And force doesn't create consistency. It creates resistance. Real discipline doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like stability. It's quiet, steady, repeatable. It doesn't rely on intensity. It relies on returning. Even when things feel off. Even when your energy isn't perfect. Even when your mind is busy. That's what most people miss. They're trying to perform at a high level in a high-pressure state. But consistency doesn't come from intensity. It comes from sustainability. And sustainability requires space. Space to think clearly. Space to move without force. Space to not feel like everything matters so much. Because when everything feels important, everything starts to feel heavy. And when everything feels heavy, you stop moving. Not because you don't care, but because your system is overloaded. So instead of asking, how do I become more disciplined? A better question is, how do I reduce the pressure I'm carrying? Where are you making things feel bigger than they are? Where are you turning simple actions into heavy expectations? Where are you trying to force progress instead of allowing it to build? Because when you remove pressure, something shifts. You think more clearly. You move more freely. And the things you've been avoiding start to feel manageable again. Not easy, but lighter. And that's enough. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to do more. You don't need to become someone else overnight. You just need to create enough space to take one small step forward, without pressure, without force, without turning it into something bigger than it is. Because discipline isn't built through intensity. It's built through returning. Not perfectly, just coming back to it when you can. Not perfectly, but consistently. And that only becomes possible when the weight you're carrying starts to feel lighter. You don't need more discipline. You need less pressure.